Good evening, everyone. It's round 4 of the ANZCAR 131 Rock Thunder Series live here tonight from Autoclub Speedway. And looks like we've got another capacity field here tonight. Just as the drivers are rolling off into qualifying at the moment, I'm joined, as always, by Danny G. How you going, Daniel?
Good, thank you. Hello, everybody.
All right, so we've got, as mentioned, another capacity field here tonight. The series really going through a real boom at the moment in terms of its popularity. So we've got a lot of drivers out there tonight. Been running fairly solidly through practice. One driver who stood out for me that I'm keeping a little bit of an eye on, and will be keeping an eye on throughout the race, is actually the number 1 car of Phil Otto. He was fairly solid throughout practice, sort of in the upper midfield. And I think that this style of track actually really suits Phil, and I'll be expecting to see him move forward tonight.
Yeah, my dark horse is going to be, I think, Stephen Williams. I think he's had a bit of a rough start to 2019 in the series that I've sort of seen him participate in, but I reckon this track suits him also, and yeah, I expect to see good things out of him tonight.
All right, so what we might do, just while the drivers are rolling off into qualifying, we will just cover off our championship points as well. So Jason Martin is currently leading the standings with 135 points over Matt Danson with 119. We have seen Danson really having a great last few races across all the series he's been racing in, so we'll see if he's able to narrow that championship gap at all tonight. Then we've got the reigning champion, Skurlock. He's there in 3rd place, and then we've got Ryan Jones, Gavin Sadler, Mirko Doutnak, Stephen Williams, joint on points actually, joint 6th position, those two Alliance Motorsports teammates. And then we go back to Matthew Raymond, Braden Bullis, and Jackson Callow rounding out the top 10. And Jackson Callow is actually, it's actually a top 11. Jackson Callow is actually level on points with Joe Tavora from Alliance as well. So, yeah, very, very close in the points there, especially around the back end of that top 10.
Yeah, it is. We're only 3 rounds into it too, so it's still pretty close in a lot of respects there. So anyone can sort of still get in there. You got a few people outside the top 10 I can see now. Like Josh Mickamore, Ashton Crowder. I don't think he's here tonight at the moment though. But yeah, James Robbie and Matty Cluett there, just outside the top 10. You sort of expect them to sort of bounce their way back up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys with that experience, you certainly would expect to see them do that. And we've got a little bit of team news as well, actually, coming out of ANZCAR just in the last week. And that is that Gavin Sadler Racing, which comprises, if you know their drivers, Gavin Sadler, James Robbie, and George Fullerton, they've actually been absorbed by Pace Syndicate. So they're going to be running under the Pace Syndicate banner from here on out. And they've actually been joined by Jackson Callow, who's made the move across from Lads Racing Team as well. So those 4 are going to be representing Pace Syndicate out there tonight. And as well, Ryan Jones, who normally does run for the Race on Odds team, is going to be joined by Gareth Anderson there, who's running the number 2 tonight as well. So finally getting a teammate, someone to run with there, Ryan Jones. And we'll see if that's going to be a good move for Gareth as well. I think it will be, and I think together that's going to be a really good pairing to see how they're able to advance themselves. All right, so I believe we might be having a few issues with pictures as well, so it just might take us a little while to get those back, but we are sitting here watching qualifying at the moment, so it'll be a little bit of a radio show for a moment until we manage to get everything back up and running. So we've got Mirko Doutnak sitting on pole position at the moment, 40.670, followed by Aaron Wilton, only a 10th behind, and then Phil Otto up there in 3rd position. Lockie Dalton, he's one of the newcomers out there tonight in 4th, and then we've got Michael Latta, Matt Hunter, Dylan Davies, Nicholas Walsh. But I've got a feeling that a few of the more experienced guys might just be sitting in the pits just waiting to see if it's going to cloud over it all, get a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah, I believe so. I think sort of the sun goes down, the track could pull up a little bit of grip, or they could be waiting for one of those clouds that come over.
May well be. So I'm just watching Aaron Dillon out there on track at the moment as well. He's out there in the number 013, yet to set a lap time. I think he's actually on his first flying lap right now. So I'll just keep an eye on him while we work on getting those pictures back and see what he's actually able to put in. He's just coming down the back straight now on his first flying lap. Just a little bit away from the wall, just closing back up towards the wall as he enters 3. And he's going to be dropping dropping down, sort of a lane and a half up from the bottom line, up and around the top, just to try and spread that corner out as much as he possibly can. And as he comes across the line, we'll see where this first lap puts him. The first lap should be the fastest lap, and that's put him up into 7th position. So 7 out of 12 that have qualified so far.
Yeah, so we'll see if that goes down. I don't think he'd be happy with 7th at the moment with only 12 cars putting down laps. But I did notice he got away from the wall down the back stretch, bumps down there too. So I just, not too sure if he was trying to avoid them.
Absolutely. So just keeping an eye on the apologies for that. Just having a quick look to see if we're able to get pictures back. Okay, so we should have pictures back quite shortly, but we're just keeping an eye on those qualifying positions at the moment. Not too many of the heavy hitters have actually made their way out for qualifying as yet either. So large number of drivers yet to set a lap. Most of the guys that you'd expect to be right up there at the pointy end haven't set a lap as yet either. So I think they're possibly just waiting for a bit of a change in the weather, or a potential change in the weather, to see what kind of laps they're going to be able to set. We've actually got Dave Douglas out on track at the moment in the number 10, and he's actually just coming across the line now to start his first flying lap. So I'm just going to stay watching Dave, and I'm just going to talk you around his lap as it runs through. So he's right out close to the wall on the outside and dives in right low, doing his very best to get down to that white line as he comes through 2 out onto the backstretch, and runs it right out up against the wall again onto the backstretch. So really extending that radius as much as he possibly can through turns 1 and 2. I'd expect him to do something quite similar through 3 and 4, diving into 3 now, and getting right down by the line, shortening that off as much as he possibly can, running it right out against the wall out of 4, and then making a dive for the apron to shorten that off as much as possible as he comes across the line. We'll see where Dave gets, and that is going to put him in P5, so just on the 3rd row at the moment.
Yeah, that looked like a good lap, nice and clean. Sort of hit his marks there, and 5th place.
All right, so just having a bit of a look down the field to see who else may be on a lap at the moment. We've actually got Norman Clark coming out of the pit lane at the moment, just running around on the apron, ready to start his first lap. And you've got to be a bit careful coming off the apron here as well. Of course, if you enter before the actual circuit itself, before you get onto the back straight, you will get a penalty. That's not allowed. And you've also got to be careful, even at that early stage, not to really use up too much of your tyres, scrubbing them across the surface as you come off the apron there as well. Looks like Norman's actually made a really good job of that. He's coming through 3 and 4 right now, just gathering up as much speed as he can possibly get to start the lap as fast as he can possibly do it. It is really going to be this first lap for which it counts for absolutely everything. The second lap isn't going to be faster under normal circumstances. And Norman's done something a little bit different. He's actually started the lap right up the top of the track. Now he comes into 1, dives right down to the bottom of the track. Gets right down there by the white line, coming through turns 1 and 2, out into the backstretch now. Throttle absolutely firewall as he comes down towards turns 3 and 4. And imagine to see him approach turn 3 and 4 in much the same way as everyone else has so far. So he's dropping right down there. Just nicking that white line. May have even just got a piece of the apron there as well. But letting the car run a little bit free, coming out of turn 4 and now diving it right down onto the apron to cross the line. And that will put Norman into 19th place. So not as fast as he would have wanted to do. All right, so I understand we've just got pictures back now, so it's just going to take a moment for iRacing just to load everything up. And while we've been focusing on these other cars, Bruce Smith has actually taken pole position. We're seeing some of the faster guys come out now. So Bruce Smith sat there on provisional pole at the moment. Jason Martin sitting there in 2nd position. Then we've got Callow, Skurlock, Micklemore, Jaeger, Fullerton, Sadler, Mason and Robbie rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, old Smithy's half a tenth quicker than Jason Martin at the moment. We've got some pretty good heavy hitters coming out now. I'd like to see where Josh Micklemore puts his car. I think he just qualified up in 6th.
And I'm just watching Matt Danson. He's just crossing the line to finish his fast lap as well. And he's just come across the line, and that has put him in P5. So he's a little bit behind the the absolute pace, he's a couple of tenths away from pole, actually, almost to the 1,000th, 2 tenths off pole. So I imagine he's going to be a little bit disappointed with that, but he will definitely come out firing if I know Matt Danson like I think I do.
Yeah, he knows how to survive pretty much all the races that we watch him in and race with him in. He just knows how to survive. He'll be there at the end and give it a crack. All
right, so we've got very little time left in qualifying now. I don't think we're going to see too many more laps set. So what we're going to do is we're just going to run through the grid. In fact, qualifying has just finished, so we're just going to run through the grid very quickly before we get to the start of this race while everybody lines up on the start behind the pace car, ready to get rolling for this one. So on pole position, as we mentioned, Bruce Smith and Jason Martin. That's your row 1 for tonight. And then we've got Callow and Dalty on row 2. Then Danson, Skurlock, row 3. Row 4, Josh Micklemore, Raymond Yeager. Row 5, George Fullerton at Matthew Clute. Row 6, Gavin Sadler and Robert Mason. James Robbie and Stephen Williams are row 7. Row 8, Mirko Doutnak and Aaron Dillon. Joseph Tavora and Dave Douglas make up your row 9, and row 10, Joshua Carroll Walden and Aaron Wilton. So then going back to row 11, Brian Richmond and Phil Otto. Then we've got Lockie Dalton and Michael Latter, Norman Clark and Matt Hunter. Dylan Davies, one of the new drivers out here tonight, alongside Todd Maxfield. And then we've got Gareth Anderson, the new Race on Oz recruit, starting there next to Nicholas Walsh on row 15. And then we've got Daniel Stevens and Jake Maloney starting a long way back for those two. Ryan Jones starting a fair way back as well. Then Darren McKenzie, Matthew Raymond, our Daytona winner, he's right back there in 35th position. And then we've got Dwayne Priest, Riley Curtis, Tristan Koch and Kai Sloggett rounding out your field of 39 drivers tonight.
Yeah, definitely a big field. They're just all lining up on pit lane now, ready to rock and roll. They look good all sitting out there.
Yeah, it's always nice to see a really big field just sitting there waiting for the off. No one's had any issues yet, any damage yet. And it's a great time of the race, this actually, because it's the point where every driver's sitting there thinking at the moment that everything in this race is going to go their way. They're all quite optimistic about making it to the end and things just falling for them. And of course, racing is really like that, but it doesn't stop drivers from thinking that way when they're rolling out on the track for the first time.
No, it doesn't. We got some pretty interesting qualifying times. We got drivers all around the field, from front to the middle to the back that are all very good drivers. So yeah, this is going to have to be steady. And I'm not really sure what's going to happen with this race. I did hear that the setup was very tight and it just gets tighter and tighter. So it's actually pretty bad, plows a lot. So I'm not sure if we'll see a lot of green flag racing if the field spreads out, but I don't think it'll be like it was last Thursday for the Cup Series.
No, I shouldn't think so. And the interesting thing is that these second-tier cars are doing very similar lap times to the Cup cars. And of course, they're doing those lap times in very different ways. These cars, being unrestricted, are running faster down the straights than the Cup cars were, but they're way off in cornering pace because of the amount of aero the Cup cars have got these days for circuits like that.
Yeah, it was interesting last Thursday. It was almost just like Daytona and Talladega pretty much the whole race. I think the top 5, top 10 were just side by side.
Yeah, certainly was a very interesting race. And we've got another one in prospect here tonight, albeit a little bit of a different style to the one that we had in the Cup race last week in this venue. So here we are, pace car about to go off. Bruce Smith has control of the field. Very experienced driver, Bruce, and he's going to drop the hammer in just a moment. As soon as he does, the rest of the field will go with him. That's exactly what's happened. And Jackson Callow looks as though he's got away pretty well, and he's going to try and get down inside Jason Martin going into turn 1.
Yeah, Kelly got a good jump there. Yeah, Martin just missed it fractionally, obviously. We'll see if Jackson can actually slot in here in second. He does. Martin gives that up, dives back into third. Yeah,
I don't think Martin's too interested in getting too crazy so far. I mean, he was able to get a nice late turn in there through 1 and 2 as well, which will help his back straight pace. But I don't think he's going to be too interested in fighting Callow too early, unless he sees Bruce Smith start to disappear off into the distance. It looks like Matt Danson lost a spot or two on that start as well, so he's going to be looking to probably do the same thing. Both of those guys very, very good on their tyres. I think that Doty's actually just got a piece of the wall there. He did. He got a piece of the wall on the outside of turn 4. That's costing a lot of momentum, and that's going to give the positions to Skurlock and Danson, and I think Micklemore and even Raymond Yeager sliding in past the 313.
Yeah, he's going to lose about 6 positions here coming off turn 1.
Now that's the one thing that you don't want to do is lap one of a 70 lap race damage your car. But either way, one guy who's running without any damage, nice clean car, nice clean air running out the front there is that number 20 of Bruce Smith, and he's got his ex-teammate sitting in there behind him, Jackson Callow, Jason Martin, just keeping a bit of a watching brief there in third. And as we have a look a little bit further down the field, we've got Fullerton and Sadler. They're back there with number 12, Robert Mason, and the 98, Stephen Williams, all running in a big block at the moment. I think I can see Matthew Clute in there as well, Mirko Doutnag, Josh Carroll-Walden, and 47, Brian Richmond. They're all in this big kind of block of cars running too wide, trying to sort themselves out at the moment. And of course, that's going to cost them a little bit of time to the leaders who are all out there running single file. I think we've got Aaron Dillon looking to make it 3 wide. He does make it 3 wide. Stephen Williams in the middle. Stephen not wanting to give him any space at all. Chops down in front of Aaron Dillon. They go back 2 by 2. Dillon having another look, trying to go through the centre, just getting underneath the 12 of Robert Mason there. And I think that the outside line is going to have that momentum. I don't think that Dillon's going to make that move stick, and indeed he has not. He's fallen back a little way.
Yeah, this little battle is just sort of holding up the next 9 cars behind it, and they're sort of all fanning out 3 wide, trying to race each other. This guy's going to have to get single file pretty quickly, which is Stephen Williams. Hopefully he can just drive away from it.
All right, I've just seen Jake Maloney actually on the apron coming out of the pits. It looks like he's had a wreck of some description already. I know he started down the back, so it must have happened down the back unsighted by us while we were sort of focusing on the mid-pack and the front pack, but he's picked up damage already, so it's going to look like significant damage as well on the front of that car.
And so was George Fulton in the 32. He clipped the wall coming out of turn 2. He's got quite a bit of right front damage.
Yeah, and Clute's actually just gone into the wall as well, so that pushing setup that you were talking about definitely causing an issue for a few guys, because it all seems to be happening right in the exits and the corners where the push is going to be most notable.
Yeah, it's one thing they said, it just kept pushing, and it was just really bad on turns 3 and 4. I think another car into the wall there.
Yeah, it's going to be one of these things where the guys have just got to accept the front grip that they've actually got, not try and push it too hard. Because, I mean, even if you're not up there banging the wall, if you are driving in that way, you're going to burn out those front tyres and you're just not going to have any steering left at all. Sometimes it feels a little bit counterintuitive just not being able to push through the turns as you want to do, but if the car's not doing it, the car's not doing it. There's very little that you can do to actually change that. And speaking of things changing, we've got Jason Martin just down the inside of Calais, and we've actually got a caution out just as that happens. So looks like a big crash coming with that.
Yeah, I'm just having a look now at the replay. I got the 14 car sideways. I'm going to go back and have a look to see what happened. But it was between Aaron Dillon and Joseph Tavora. Sort of, I don't know if you got, yeah, there's a big wreck. Not sure what to make of that just yet.
Right, yeah, just taking a bit of a look at that one myself, actually, just while we look at getting a replay for that one up. It looks like, yeah, Tavora sliding down onto the infield. It's hard to tell who got into the back. Well, I mean, Tavora's got into the back of Dillon, but it's very hard to tell who actually, you know, if one moved up or one didn't, or I'm just sort of looking at that again, and it really looks as though there may have even been a slight little bit of net code in there as well. Yeah, a slight little bit of net code involved as well. So unfortunate for those guys, because under normal circumstances they wouldn't have actually been contact there, I don't think.
Yeah, you can sort of see that in sort of slow motion, the little net code, just like a little bit of a bump and then a bit of a pause, and then all of a sudden they get into each other.
Now, we are only on lap 7, but given the way the cars are pushing around here, I would not be at all surprised to see most of the drivers on the track at the moment come to the pit lane for a new set of boots for those cars, because they're just pushing so badly through the turns and really burning up, especially that outside front, that right front tyre. So just keeping an eye on the leaders here. Bruce Smith still leading this one, and he's going to probably make a dive for the pits. I'm just keeping an eye on him right now. Jason Martin will do whatever Bruce Smith does, I think. I think most of them will copy the leader, and Bruce makes a dive for the pits, and absolutely everybody, as predicted, follows him right down the lane.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, I think 7 laps is a good long enough time to sort of come in. Like I say, they were getting very tight out there. A lot of drivers hitting the wall. So yeah, 4 fresh tyres and give them another go.
All right, so just watching these leaders coming into the pits now. Bruce Smith, as we mentioned, leading them down 20, then 21. running down into the pits, first and second in this race at the moment. Then we've got Callow there in third. So all hitting their marks, hitting the marks in the pit bays, and just keeping an eye on those stops. It looks as though everybody's hit the marks fairly well, and I think we're going to see the status quo pretty well maintained as they come out of the pits, but we'll just keep an eye. The last tyres are going on now. Now it looks as though Jason Martin's got away very well. Has he beat Bruce out? I think he might have done it, actually.
Yeah,
yeah, he's certainly in front of him on track at the moment. Whether he actually got that done, and he's not going to have to redress that position, but I think that Jason actually beat Bruce off at pit road.
Yeah, just hearing we got Jason Martin stop. It's about 2 seconds quicker than Smith's. I think he's done it.
Yeah, I'd say he has. Definitely got a really good pull away from the pits there as well. Like, he spun the wheels up a little bit, but managed to keep the foot in it and actually just drive straight by Smith. So it looks like Martin having taken over the lead of this one. And then, of course, we've got Callow, Skurlock back there, I think, as well. I'm just having a quick little look at where everyone's sat coming out of the pits. Of course, we're just waiting for our timing screens to update when they come across the start-finish line. Just having a look at the order as it sits at the moment. Top three are the same, with the exception that Martin has taken over the lead of the race. Fourth position is looking like Matt Danson with Josh Mickelbaum behind him. It looks as though Skurlock has actually lost a couple of positions and has dropped back to around about P6 in all of that.
Yeah, just crossing the line now. So, yeah, Raymond Yeager takes up 7th, James Robbie 8th, Joshua Carroll Walden in 9th, and Merco's slotted in 10th.
All right, just keeping an eye on the drivers we were talking about at the start of the race, the ones we're going to be watching. Just looking at the positions, updating at the moment. But the one you're watching, Stephen Williams, just scrolling through the field, trying to locate exactly where Stephen is. Stephen's down in 27th at the moment, so he's lost a ton of positions from his starting position of 14th. And right behind him was my pick, Phil Otto, sitting there in 28th position at the moment. So lots of work to do for those guys.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at Stephen Williams' car. It doesn't look too bad. I'm not sure if it's damaged or not. Maybe a touch on the left front. So we'll see how he goes.
Yeah, it looks like a little bit of damage on the rear of that Camry as well, that number 98 Camry. A little bit
yes.
there on the rear bumper bar. So I'd say he's one of a few which has had a bit of a hit. Of course, with those wrecks happening the way that they happen, of course, people bouncing off the walls and the cars being the way they are, it's been a little bit difficult for some of them to keep it clean this early on. We've got a long way to go yet. We're only on lap 9 of 70. So we'll see what these guys are able to do from there and see if those guys that are a couple of laps down. Now, there's a few guys actually off the lead lap. Gareth Anderson, Jake Maloney, Aaron Dillon, all 1 and 2 laps down back in 35th, 36th and 37th places. And it looks as though Daniel Stephen and Kai Sloggett didn't even start the race.
No, so 38 cars. Still a massive field here. I think we get the 1 to go now, and they're just starting to line up.
Yep, so starting to line up 2 by 2, as is standard NASCAR procedure. The restarts are always double file. The leader takes the inside, the second place takes the outside, and it's basically odds and evens all the way down the field from there. So when you see the cars go too wide like this and the pace car lights are out, you know we've only got 1 lap left to go until we're going to go green again.
Yeah, it's just that these laps actually take a while to do. Are they on in the caution? It's about 2 minutes, I think, per lap.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long lap here. It's a long lap here, isn't it? You know, it's about 2 miles around, I think, this Autoclub track. So it's a fair distance. And going at pace car speed, it takes a fair while to complete. And the pace car's not hanging around either. The pace car's doing over highway speed in Australia. But even so, it's very much pedestrian for the race cars behind.
Yeah, it is. So we'll see what they end up going sort of for this time. I think everyone will sort of know now what they've got, or if they have to save, or can they save, where can they save. So I think this run might be a little bit smoother.
Yeah, we'll absolutely see what happens. So Jason Martin getting ready to lead them away this time, and he'll be able to give Bruce Smith a bit of a taste of his own medicine, jumping the way that Bruce did on the very start of this race. And if Bruce is... I know Bruce races with VR, so he'll be able to keep a much better eye on Jason Martin than if he was just playing with a normal screen. But it appears as though Jason has got that jump, and Callow this time, instead of trying to make a move on Jason, he's going to try and make a move on Bruce down the inside there. Let's see if those two former teammates play nice.
doesn't look like it yet. They're pretty close going through turn 1. Smith just sort of gives him the outside. I think Callo's on the apron even.
Yeah, Callo just stuck his nose onto the apron there and got a little bit loose, but he managed to hold it and power past Smith, who I think actually ended up giving him the position there. But that's going to knock back a little bit of their momentum as well. And Bruce taking another slice down the inside of Callo there, and he's got that done absolutely decisively. It looks as though Danson and Mickelmore are going to come through there too.
Yeah, I think Jackson had a big lift during turn 3 or 4 at some stage there. He's lost a lot of momentum now. Mickelmore's on the inside of him, so he's lost about 3 positions almost in the lap.
Yeah, I can see a couple of cars on there. I think Mickelmore might be one of them actually, is just not necessarily displaying his paint scheme. There's a few cars out there whose paint schemes haven't loaded. That's good old trading paints being trading paints again. Let's just say there's a couple of issues there getting all the paint schemes loaded. But in any case, one that we can see, Jason Martin, he's away out the front. Bruce Smith in second, and Matt Danson, who's proved a little bit of a foil for Jason Martin of late, sitting there in P3, probably looking to line Bruce up sooner rather than later. And he's got Josh Mickelmore all over his rear bumper. It looks as though Mickelmore's actually making a move across the front stretch to actually get down the inside of Danson.
Yeah, we all know Matt Danson's just awesome on these long runs, so I think he's just probably going to ease up here, let Josh through, sort of get back into groove, and he really sort of kicks on, halfway through a run, and then he'll just sort of get back to the front like he always does.
Yeah, and I think that this track is going to have some long runs, despite the fact that the setup's very, very tight. I think that it's wide enough and the drivers are single file enough a lot of the time that there's not going to be too many wrecks here. I think we've had that caution, but I shouldn't expect that we're going to have a massive amount of yellow flag running here tonight. So I would think that that's going to play into Danson's hands. Jason Martin very good on the tyres as well. But we'll see what Josh Mickelmore can do. I mean, he's there in the mix. Absolutely, he's just made that move on Danson. We've got Callo in there as well. He's usually a little bit harder on his tyres than a couple of those guys ahead of him. And of course, Bruce Smith, with all the expertise he brings, see what he can do in terms of managing that race car over this distance as well.
He was out of a lap car with 14, just sort of like held up, didn't held anyone up, but they sort of almost like a 3 wide move down there. I thought there was going to be a wreck. They all sort of stacked up behind him. Good job everyone sort of getting around that.
Yeah, that's Joseph Tavora, who's having a little bit of a shocker tonight, isn't he? So going a lap down already. It looks as though there might be a little bit of damage on that number 14 as well. And just keeping a little bit of an eye on the gap between Martin and Smith. It's reasonably steady at this point in time. And Mickelmore, there's a little bit of a gap back to Mickelmore. Danson, I don't think Danson's going to be too worried. I think he's going to be just managing his tyres as much as he can. And I believe I'm correct in saying that Danson's yet to win a race in this particular series, although he's been on fire in the other series.
Yeah, I'll go and have a look at that now. Yeah, he hasn't won a race in this series yet.
Yeah, I think we've had 2 wins for Martin and 1 for Matthew Raymond from memory.
Yes.
So it looks as though Danson's obviously going to be looking to chalk up that first win for the season as well. But there's 30-odd other blokes out there who are just as determined to stop him. So everyone's sort of running very patiently line astern at the moment. I think everyone's, most of the more experienced guys will be expecting that this is going to be a long green flag run. I'm fairly sure that they're going to be looking to take care of their tyres, look at where their fuel's at, and decide what lap they're going to come into the pits. And as we saw here last week, what the power of the undercut as far as the tyre strategy goes.
Yeah, that was a massive call last week, and it was pretty much won because of that. Hit 10 laps early before anybody else. He just jumped out to an awesome lead. Mirko did. Yeah, it was a great strategy, and everything played for him. Just went caution free to pretty much the end. It wouldn't have mattered anyway that caution came out. He pretty much won that on strategy.
Yeah, certainly did, and it's one of those things and that's one of the great things about this style of racing. Something that I really like is that when you're racing on a road course that's not going to have that many full course cautions. In iRacing, you don't really get much in the way of full course cautions in the road courses. You know it's going to run green the whole way. You know the distance of the race. You know your tyres and fuel and how long they're going to last. And you strategize. You would break the race up into even points or something like this. But in an oval race, you get the full course cautions, and they can come out when you least expect them. And a perfect strategy for a race that's going to run green can turn into an awful one if the caution happens to come out at the wrong time for you. And that's something that Mirko's strategy last week, perfect for a race that ran almost green in its entirety. But if we'd had a yellow flag at the wrong time, then that could have been the worst strategy you could have possibly done. So makes it difficult. All right, so just having a look at that battle at the front, they're staying reasonably well stagnant. I thought I saw Bruce Smith get quite a bit of push there out of turn 4. Matt Danson has actually made the move on Josh Mickelmore, is now leading the train of Mickelmore, Callow and Scurlock. And if they stay single file, they may be able to make an impression on the guys in front. But if they keep battling, they're just going to burn their tyres off. So we'll see what they choose to do.
Yeah, at the moment they're playing nice. Scurlock's pretty much all over the back of Jackson, though.
Yeah, I think that Scurlock's sort of looking as though he wants to make a move there, but at the same time, he's well capable of managing his own race as well. He's had so much. He's another driver who's had a huge amount of success lately, and he actually sits third in this championship behind Martin and Danson at the moment, as we discussed at the top of the show. So those guys are looking strong.
Yeah, he's got a massive push coming out of turn 4. He's lost a lot of momentum. He's almost going to fall back into the clutches of the next pack behind him, led by James Robbie.
Yeah, James Robbie having a decent night there in 7th position with Ryan Jones up there in P8. And with Ryan Jones, he's one of those drivers who aren't in the Cup Series at the moment, but he is up there in the top 10. He's averaging inside the top 10, and if he manages to do that tonight and the next round as well, and get through 5 races while averaging a top 10 position, he's going to gain immediate promotion to the Cup Series. So that's something for him to aim for. A little bit of interest just to follow his progress through. There's a couple of drivers sort of in the mix, but Jones is certainly the foremost of those at the moment.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, he'll just be wanting a nice good run, top 10 like you say, and he's there at the moment.
Certainly is. So Jason Martin at the front just starting to extend just that little bit on Bruce Smith, but there's a fair gap there, 1.5 seconds back to Matt Danson, who's just starting to clear out on Callow and Mickelmore a little bit, and they're just starting to drop Scurlock as well. So we're starting to see the effect of the drivers whose styles are kind to the tyres and everything else, and the way in which the field is just sort of spreading out at the moment. So another caution, of course, will bunch all those guys back up. But at the moment, it really does look as though the drivers who are kind to their tyres are coming to the fore. And we will see if Danson's able to make any inroads on Jason Martin. He did lose a 10th on that lap, but we'll see what happens from here.
Yeah, I was just about to say, he doesn't look like he's made too much progress yet. You've got Josh Mickelmore just behind him now under Callow again, so them two are going at it. That's going to make Danson sort of drive away from them for a little bit.
Yeah, of course, running side by side. Neither car can take the ideal line, and it definitely does slow you up, but sometimes you've just got to try and make a move, and it looks as though Scurlock just trying to make that high line work for him at the minute.
Yeah, can't get it done there, but he's going to get a great run down the front stretch. I think Mickelmore sort of blocks him off a little bit and dives to the bottom.
Can't just having 1 or 2 connection issues on my end as well, so I'm just struggling to see the cars as they are on track at the minute.
Yeah, so Jason Martin, he's half a second out in front of Bruce Smith, and then it's another 1.2 seconds back to Matt Danson. Just doesn't seem to be making the in-games yet into that front pair, but he is driving away from Jackson. Michael Scurlock, he's just got through on Josh Mickelmore now, so he moves up into 6th. Mickelmore, he has fallen back from, I think he was up there in 3rd now, so he's dropped 4 positions into 7th. James Robbie in 8th. Ryan Jones is in 8th. Josh Carroll-Walden in 9th, and Raymond Yeager round out the top 10 at the moment.
Yeah, it's good to actually see Raymond Yeager having a decent run, isn't it? You know, he's had a couple of rounds now where he sort of got involved in wrecks that weren't necessarily of his own making, you know, just things that have been happening around him, and he's had a couple of ordinary finishes, but he's up there in the top 10, running 10th at the moment, and he's got to be clear, one would hope, of most of the incidents that may happen further back in the field, and if he can stay up there, he could be on for a strong result.
Yeah, the person that is dropping at the moment is Josh Mickelmore. He's given up another position now to James Robbie. He's on the inside here of turn 1, but I think Robbie's going to get the run off on the outside of turn 2. See what happens there. He's sort of snuck in behind him now, but yeah, he's almost around him in turn 3 and 4. He does actually do the crisscrossing down the back stretch. I think he's going to have ideal line in turn 3.
Yeah. The looks as though Josh Mickelmore really struggling on this set of tyres for whatever reason. Hasn't been able to keep them alive as well as some of the others. I must say, I really do like the paint scheme on James Robbie's car, that new paint scheme. It reminds me a little bit sort of front on of sort of the 1997, that sort of era Benetton Formula One cars with the light blue and the dark blue and a bit of white in there as well. I do like that scheme.
It is nice, and that very fluorescent sort of number colour just pops at you.
Yeah, that was always the colour of the Gavin Sadler racing cars, wasn't it? That really bright yellow. So it looks as though they've carried that over a little bit into the numbering on that particular car. So good to see a little bit of that heritage from that team still surviving in that livery.
Yeah, and these two battling though has just brought Ryan Jones, Carol Walden, and Raymond straight into the picture now. As you got Ryan Jones all over the back of James Robbie here. Yeah,
he certainly is, isn't he? And I think that really came about just because of the way that Mickelmore's struggling at the minute, that all those cars have sort of been bottled up behind him. He really does appear to be the cork in that bottle at the minute. Robbie's sort of lost a bit of ground, but he's closing him down quite quickly. And I'm not really sure what's going on with Josh Mickelmore. He's not usually too bad on his tyres, but seems to be struggling tonight.
Yeah, he does. But just up at the front, I was just having a look at the times, and Bruce Smith has chased down Jason Martin by a couple of tenths. That lap here was 3.5 tenths off the lead, and I think he might have actually gained a little bit here. He just seems to be a little bit closer.
Yeah, he has got a little bit closer. I'm not sure if some traffic has intervened. There's a little bit of traffic up front, actually. I think it's Todd Maxfield that they're actually coming around to lap. At the moment it is. So we'll see if he plays nice and gets out the way. I thought he was staying nice and high, and then he's kind of jinked down towards Jason. Now he's sort of hanging on around the outside. Jason gives him a bit of a nudge. Jason's not really going to be impressed with that at all, although you are allowed to fight for your lap. But what that has done is it's brought Bruce Smith right back into play, and Bruce Smith has got the momentum. He's going to make a run, and that whole experience there has actually cost Jason Martin the lead of this race. I don't think Jason's going to be overly happy with the job there at all.
No, I wouldn't think so. Jason Martin makes a run coming off turn 3, but yeah, he did get held up quite a bit as Todd Maxfield sort of raced him pretty hard there.
Yeah, you see Jason there on the radio as well. I'm sure he's got something to say to Todd about that. But anyway, so that's left us with a little bit of a battle there. Bruce Smith regains the lead of this one, carrying that momentum right past. We've actually seen Matt Danson just get past Todd Maxfield now as well. So he's going to look to make a move on these front two. And Jason's racing fairly hard. I'm surprised to see him this deep into a run, really looking to try and get that lead back so aggressively from Bruce Smith. You'd almost think that he'd sort of sit there, roll around, save the tyres. He's probably got similar pace to Bruce Smith, so if he passes him, he's probably not going to pull away by a great deal. So I'm not really sure why he's so keen to get past him just yet, but of course it is great viewing. So as he goes from side to side and looks to make another run on Bruce, looks as though Bruce Smith may just be looking to let him go. He's not racing for that position too hard, although he is holding on around the top there. So we'll see how this turns out between the two leaders.
Yeah, I think that interaction there with Maxfield just lit a fire in his belly.
Yeah, it may well have done. Jason is not completely averse to the red mist. I can certainly tell you that. And he may have a little bit of that at the moment. So Bruce Smith has managed to hold on to the lead of this one. And Jason Martin right in there on his bumper trying to get a move done, those two Mustangs up the front. Martin swoops to the inside again. Is he going to be able to carry enough momentum to get through? Running on that low line the way that he is definitely going to be scrubbing those tyres off. And of course Matt Danson is sitting back there watching this. He hasn't actually gained a huge amount on these two at the front. Gap is still fairly solid at 1.6 seconds as it was even back before they caught Maxfield. But these two together running the way they are, side by side, are going to be taking the toll on their tyres. And on a deep run like this, a long green flag run, it's going to cost them. It has to.
Yeah, it will. Unless maybe they try and one of them tries to short pit soon. You got 31 laps on the board, so it's a 70-lap race, so we're almost nearing half distance.
Yeah, those tyres are going to start to feel pretty ordinary, I think, on a lot of these cars. And just speaking of guys who've probably struggling a bit with the tyres, Josh Mickelmore, who we were watching earlier on, he's fallen all the way down to 11th place now, and I don't think anybody's going to be wanting a caution more than him. And now that he's fallen outside the top 10, it might even get to the stage where he starts to think, well, you know what, I'll roll the dice the way Mirko Doutnak did last week in the Cup. I'll roll the dice, pit early, see what happens. It might pay off for him, so why not?
Yeah, I think I'd probably try that, or someone's going to try it soon, because I think it's less than 40 laps to go, and you're definitely going to be able to I reckon he can get 40 laps out of this season.
Yeah, there are a couple of drivers as well that I'd like to make mention of. I mean, we talked about Ryan Jones before, and he actually started 33rd, up in 7th at the moment. We've got Dwayne Priest, who started 36th, and he's in 12th. Riley Curtis came from 37th, and he is 13th right behind. So there have been a few big movers in the field so far.
Yeah, there have been. Sorry, I'm just keeping an eye on the front. It's still side by side. They've been doing this for about 4 laps now.
And what that's done is it's actually allowed Matt Danson to close in by a couple of tenths as well. So, as we mentioned, running side by side, you can't use all the track, and you're not going to be carrying as much speed as somebody who's running there on their own and has the entire track to play with. So, just coming through 3 and 4 now, the 2 leaders still side by side, and we'll just see if Danson manages to cut that gap again. And Callow seems to be coming with him to some degree as well. Yeah, it's come down again by a tenth.
Yeah, and driver I was talking about earlier, Matty Claude, he's back up into the top 10 now. So like we thought, I think he was down there in 15th, 16th, and he's moved up. But look at Josh Mickelmore, he's dropped. I think he must be in the pits.
All right, so we did mention this, didn't we? Josh Mickelmore on pit road, and it was getting to the stage for him like it was worth a roll of the dice. He clearly used up the tyres on that car. We saw the early pit strategy, the undercut, worked so well for Mirko Doutnak in the Cup last week. Oh, he has overshot there. That won't help him. But he's just now he's getting service. So those will be interesting to see if anybody else comes in to actually cover off this pit stop. But if they don't and they allow him to run around on new tyres on his own, he's going to start to make hay very, very quickly.
Yeah, and it's probably not a bad idea too, because he was back there in 10th, 11th position or something, and no one, you pretty much go unnoticed at that stage. Sort of, you're back there, he's pitting, but I mean the leaders don't know. So that's, I think, how Mirko also pulled it off last week. No one really knew he pitted, and yeah, so we'll see what Mickelmore can do here. Yeah,
well, Jason Martin's teammates with him, so he might know. I'm not sure that Bruce Smith will know, but just while we were watching that, Jason Martin did get the lead away from Bruce Smith. So, and Smith just touching the apron there through 3 and 4 as well, which is going to cost him a little bit of momentum. And those two are now running line astern. They've sorted out their little battle. It's been sorted out in Jason's favour for now. And just having a look at the gap back to Danson, that's actually extended. The gap back to Callow's extended a little bit too. So these two just seem to have a little bit more pace than everybody else tonight.
Yeah, they certainly do. So we'll see if Jason Martin puts the hammer down now and tries to get a good lead and see if he pits soon. That's what he might be trying to do, just use up what he's got and then pit earlier. We'll see.
Well, he'll be looking at the times that his teammate Josh Mickelmore's doing. I think we've had Dave Douglas in the pits as well, possibly because he's 1 lap down. He's actually the first car 1 lap down at the moment as well. And he's down on the apron coming through 3 and 4, scything his way past Matty Clute. So I'm trying to really sort of get a gauge on whether or not he has taken tyres. No, he doesn't appear to have that much of a pace advantage, so I'm assuming he hasn't. Something's actually just gone wrong for Dave there. And Josh Mickelmore, they'll be taking a look at what kind of pace he is running, because and he'll be feeding that information back to Jason Martin, so Martin will know what kind of lap times he's going to be expecting to run after he pits, and that'll help him judge when exactly he's going to come to the lane.
Well, Mickelmore just did a 40.6 second lap, and the lap before Jason Martin did a 42, so 4 tenths.
Yeah, so sorry, did you say 40.6 is about 1.4 seconds? Yeah, so that's a fair chunk of time. So we're coming up to, well, we are past half race distance now. So clearly Jason Martin looking to, in fact, just about everybody looking to have fresher tyres at the end of the race. But we've seen the power of the undercut. We've seen how powerful that can be. You don't gain back what you lose. So I reckon that this could be an excellent piece of strategy from Josh Mickelmore, just copying what we saw Doutnak do so successfully in the Cup.
Yeah, I think it will work for him as long as these guys. I think Jason Martin might be trying to pit. Yeah, ooh, that was a pretty interesting what happened there. I'm not sure if we caught it on the cameras. He seemed to come in pretty hot. You have to go high, and Bruce Smith went under him. But yeah, Jason Martin on pit road.
All right, so Martin on pit road at the moment now as well. And I think Martin might actually have just a bit of a wriggle in the front right guard there as well. I'm not sure if that actually happened when he went to pass Maxfield, if those guys got together, or if there was something else that we perhaps missed. But there's definitely a little bit of damage on that number 21. Just having a look, the number 71, Gavin Sadler, he's just coming out of the pits as well, so he's taken service. Martin's come in, he's hit his marks, he locked up the tyres on the way in, but he has not overshot. and we'll see where he comes out relative to his teammate Josh Micklemore.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I didn't. Thought he'd sort of stalled it or something happened there, but no, he's off. Look, pretty good stop.
All right, yeah. So Jason Martin away. So we'll just keep an eye on where Josh Micklemore sits. We've actually just seen Bruce Smith come around to lap Jason Martin. Matt Danson coming around to lap Jason Martin as well. And I'm just expecting to see Micklemore there or thereabouts. Yeah, there he is. He's at the back of the straight. So Jason has managed to actually get out ahead of Josh Micklemore, which I'm surprised about, just given the pace advantage that new tyres have. And now Jason's coming storming through, but these other drivers are going to have to pit to cover him off, although it's almost too late now. It's almost too late if they pit to cover Jason off. The tyre advantage you're going to have at the end of the race is not going to be worth it, so they may as well hold out and try and wait for a caution.
Yeah, that's another good idea. Yeah, Josh Micklemore did take up a lot of ground there. I think if he just needs to sort of save his tyres, I think he might have just overdrove his car a little bit trying to race around that Danton there at the beginning of that run. But he just seems to be in pretty clean air pretty much all this run. So if he can just save his tyres, looks like he's been able to pick up a lot of ground.
Well, we've got less than 30 laps to go now. We're on lap 41 of 70, so it's almost time to be actually making your moves and making your play. And I'm not really sure where this caution's going to come from. Jason Martin going to unlap himself on Bruce Smith. Bruce Smith throwing a little bit of a block there, but not wanting to block too much, such as the pace advantage of the 21 at the moment on those new tyres. So Jason Martin about to go back onto the lead lap with this move down the inside of Bruce Smith. And I imagine that the guys who've stayed out, realistically, they've almost missed their opportunity now, and they almost have to stay out and wait and hope for a caution. But of course, that's down to every individual.
Yeah, and the pace advantage was just there with Jason Martin getting his lap back. He's just driven away now from the 20 of Bruce Smith. And even James Robbie, they're almost going to have an incident.
I was thinking the same thing just as you were saying that. I'm thinking, James Robbie's coming up. He's going to have an incident there, but he's had an incident all of himself. He's run up and brushed the wall, and that's going to let Bruce Smith down underneath him once again. Seen most drivers gone to the pits now. I think there's only 7 drivers who haven't pitted. Everyone else is coming to the lane. 6 drivers actually. I think Bruce Smith, Matt Danson, Callow, Priest, Fullerton, Walsh are the only drivers who haven't come to the lane just yet. So we better keep an eye on these guys and see who decides to do what. I just almost think that these guys have left a little bit too late. The advantage that they're looking for at the end of the race is just not going to be there by having slightly fresher tyres to make up that gap that they're losing right now. So if you are on old tyres, I mean, you've almost rolled the dice already, and you've got to stay out and hope for a caution.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm really surprised Bruce Smith has stayed out as long as he has. We know he's going to lose about 1.5 seconds a lap. And yeah, if this goes green here, I just can't see that happening. He must be just hoping, praying for a caution.
Yeah, it must be. I don't think anyone on the track is going to be wanting a caution more than him at the moment. All right, Matt Danson there. He's only 1 second off the lead now as well. It looks like he's elected to do exactly what Smith has done and Callow are doing. So they're going the other way. They're staying out, and they're going to hope for a caution. If it runs green to the end, it's not going to work out for them. But if they get a caution now, they've pretty much frozen everybody from P8 down out of this race.
Yeah, and I can't, even if they take 2 tyres, I can't see that actually helping either. But we'll see what happens.
No, I don't think 2 tyres will be an option around here. There's just too much heat generated in them to come back out onto the track with a miss. Tyres with different levels of grip. It's just going to cause them to spin. So I don't think we'll see anyone going for 2 tyres. We might, but I'd be surprised, and I'd be even more surprised if it worked.
Yeah, well, Bruce Smith, he continues to stay out. We'll see if he drops down now. Doesn't really look like it at the moment.
Yeah, well, I mean, if he gets a caution, he's going to look like an absolute genius. But that's what these guys are waiting for. They're just hanging out there for that caution because, like we say, if it stays green, it's just not going to happen for him, I don't think.
No, he's been out there for about 43 laps. So, yeah, I'm not too sure what the fuel was. I didn't look into that, unfortunately, at the start of the race. But, yeah, he's going to be coming up to the green flag stop soon.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, they can't have too much more fuel than this. I remember in the Cup cars, we're getting around about 44 laps out of a tank of fuel. So I can only imagine the kind of mileage on these cars is going to be very similar. So a lot of these guys are going to be getting close to being on fumes, and Matt Danson's just taken 1/10 of a second out of Bruce Smith as well. So there's still a little bit to race for. Danson to the lane. Danson's gone to the pit, so we'll keep an eye on him. We'll see what kind of pit stop he's able to get. I think he's... and we've actually got a rollover at the end of the pit wall. The number 13, Lockie Dalton, he's one of the newcomers. He's actually gone right end on into the pit wall, trying to come into the pits. Rolled over on his roof, come back onto his wheels. And that is a very... Yeah, he's just locked the rears and gone straight to the end of the pit wall. That is a very, very strange incident.
It is. It hasn't brought out a caution, though. He's landed back on his tyres and get that back on the pit road. But yeah, it looks like he's locked the rears and just tried to correct it straight into the barrier.
All right, so I'm just watching Matt Danson on pit road at the moment. He's just taking service. Right side tyres are wrong. Left side tyres getting done at the moment. Then the crew will drop the car and away he goes. Very careful not to spin up those tyres. He wants to take care of them. And he's going to get back out on the track. We're going to see how far down he has fallen. Bruce Smith actually just putting Matt a lap down at the minute. And quite a few cars actually putting Matt Danson a lap down at the moment. But yeah, it's going to be very, very difficult for Matt. But we're just going to see where he's going to come out relative to Jason Martin, who I guess was the other leader who we've seen down pit road already. And I'm just actually waiting for the timing screens to update. But I'm fairly sure, based on that advantage, you'd assume that Martin's got by.
Oh, definitely. I was just having a look at that. It's about the length of the straightaway.
All right, so it's absolutely huge. That's why I couldn't see him. So, yeah, Matt Danson out there on that fresh rubber at the moment. But, yeah, it really didn't work out for him, did it? And I think we've got Bruce Smith and Jackson Callow sort of leading the line for the guys who haven't pitted yet. And Bruce Smith 13 seconds up the road from Callow. So he's done a good job. He's done a really good job on that older set of tyres. And like we say, if he gets a caution now, he's going to look like a genius. But he's still going to fall to the back of the pack behind the guys who have already pitted, because he'll have to come to the lane and they probably won't. So he's still going to lose out of this. So this has not worked out at all for Bruce Smith.
No, it hasn't. And I mean, the guys are pretty much all on similar tyres now. It's just getting pretty racy around the track, though, so it could be a caution. We'll see what happens. The race is kind of winding down, so we'll see what the guys do.
Yeah, it's going to be go time for a lot of people, and we've got a few little packs forming out there. We've got Josh Mickelmore and James Robbie running very, very close together. We've got Riley Curtis, Raymond Yeager running side by side at the minute. Josh Carroll Walden's in there as well, and it looks as though we've got Ryan Jones in there as well, who's just sitting there in that solid P10 that he needs. So, yeah, there definitely could be a caution, but I certainly wouldn't bank on it the way we've seen these guys drive tonight. It's been very, very sensible.
No, and going by the look of that, if there was going to be a caution, unfortunately it looked like it was going to be Bruce Smith, but he continues to go out there, and I think it might be one of the only cars left.
Yeah, they're three wide down the front stretch at the minute. Yeah, it looks as though they're going to get that all tidied up. Ryan Jones trying to make positions there.
Oh, no.
And we're going to get it. He's gone in the side of Riley Curtis. Curtis spinning.
What a save.
And he's held it. What a great save by Riley Curtis. And he is going to be Bruce Smith's worst enemy at the moment. Bruce Smith has got to watch his back and just go, why, Riley? Could you just not let that thing slide around? But Todd Maxfield looks as though he's carrying damage. He's all over the place, and he's put 33 get Riley. He's got into Clute. We've got to get a caution here, surely.
Clute's going to save it. He's saved it.
Well, what a fantastic job by the pair of them. That happened right in front of Bruce Smith. So, yeah, it looks as though I'm not exactly sure what happened there. In fact, I might go back and have a quick look at it, but I'm not 100% sure that didn't kick off with Maxfield.
Yeah, it did. He was in the wall off turn 2, and he just bouncing off the wall all down the backstretch.
Yeah, Ryan Jones, and he just avoided him, didn't he? And then the other pack came up, and he got away from the wall, and then 33 went into the wall, trying to sort of squeeze between the 7 and the wall, got into Riley Curtis, and got into Clute. Oh, what a mess. But they all managed to gather it up, and Bruce saw cars spinning in front of him, must have thought to himself, there's my caution, and he didn't get it. They all held it. Shows the skill and experience of some of the guys out there tonight, that's for sure.
Yeah, that was unreal by Riley there in turn 1. I mean, he was just facing the grass. Somehow managed to correct that. Even Matty Clute too, he was the same, managed to correct that.
Yeah, a bit of Tokyo drift from the pair of them.
Yeah, it was.
Anyway, so that's put Jason Martin right up behind. He's in third at the moment, right behind Nicholas Walsh. And Walsh hasn't pitted yet either, so I think we're going to see Martin slip down the inside, and then he's only got Bruce Smith to catch. He's about half a lap behind Bruce at the moment, but Bruce is still yet to pit. So realistically, I think Bruce is going to struggle. I can't see a way out of this for him, barring some sort of miracle.
No, neither can I can't see him getting another 17 laps either off fuel.
No, definitely not. There's a little bit of chatter out there amongst the drivers. I'm not sure that some of them are going to be happy with the way that some of those recent events just played out. And one of the drivers that we were keeping an eye on tonight, we've had Phil Otto, who I was watching. He's 2 laps off the pace at the moment in 29th position, so it hasn't been a happy night for him so far. And Stephen Williams, your pick, Daniel, he's 1 lap off the pace in 20th at the moment. So plenty of action for our 2 guys tonight.
Yeah, there was. Sorry about that. Put the mockers on him.
Yeah, we should really stop doing this. We always seem to put the mockers on people.
Yeah, we do.
Anyway, so Matt Danson has just got past Josh Carroll-Walden, and they've just put the 14 another lap down between the 2 of them. And I think the number 30 now, Matt Danson, closing in on the back of the 23 of Raymond Yeager. And then the next target for him is going to be Robbie Whitmore up there in front. But I'm more interested to see when Bruce Smith decides to go to the lane. How much fuel can that car possibly have in it?
Yeah, 47 laps at the moment. But this is quite played out pretty well, I think, for Josh Mickelmore. He's jumped back up into 5th.
Yeah, considering the way that he was struggling and dropping through the field earlier on, that call to pit was the right decision, obviously. Just watching just behind Bruce Smith, Darren McKenzie getting up into the fence himself. But yeah, Bruce has got to be almost out of fuel. He has to be nearly out of fuel now.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's saving any either, so yeah.
Yeah, you can't imagine he's going to be able to go to the end of this race. I mean, as I say, I wasn't really sure what the mileage of these cars were, but we're only getting 44 laps out of the Cup cars. So to think that he's going to be able to run to the end seems extremely unlikely. I've been wrong before, but yeah, it's hard to see a way out for Bruce Smith at the moment.
And Jason Martin's catching him by about 1.5 seconds a lap too. So I mean, if he can make the distance, he'll win it, because I don't think Jason will cut the time down. He's just going to be hoping for a caution. I'm not sure how many leaders these cars actually have. I know the Cup car has 18.
Yeah, gallons that probably is, because 18 litres doesn't get you so far. Yeah,
oh, yeah, that's about 18.7 gallons.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I'm just keeping an eye on Bruce at the moment to see when Smith actually does decide to dive to the lane. Of course, there's 30 odd other cars out there at the moment, all having their own story, but this is really the story at the moment, is what the leader's going to do. Here he comes, Bruce Smith to the pit lane. He's decided he can't go any further. He must have fumes left in there. He's really just coming to the pits as hard as he possibly can, snatching the rear tyres as he would have the brake bias set a little bit further rearward to help him into the turns here. And now he comes rolling down the pit lane, and surely he's going to surrender now any chance he had of winning this race.
Yeah, see if he takes the 2 tyres. It might be in the back of his mind. He's got about 12, 13 laps to do it. He might take the 2.
Well, if anyone's got the skill to do it, it's him, but I'd be surprised. So let's have a look. The left side of the car is going up, so that's the side that we know is going to get changed. But we'll see what happens here. Does he go for the 4? No, he doesn't. He takes 2. You called it right, Daniel. Crystal ball. He's gone for the 2 tyres. He's going to try and make this work. This is going to be fascinating to see what he can do.
I'm just having a look, trying to find where Jason Martin is, because he might almost go a lap down himself. But no, I think he'll get away with it.
Yeah, he won't go a lap down because he was half a lap ahead when he came to the pits, but it's going to be extremely close. Just having a look to see where Jason actually is.
Just heading into turn 1.
Okay, so Martin has taken the lead of this one, but of course is on much older, well, 2 tyres that are much older than Bruce Smith, but Bruce Smith has fallen all the way outside the top 10 with that.
Yeah, and the one that sort of snuck up there in second is Michael Skurlock.
He's got a knack of doing that, and it's massively annoying when you're driving against him, but when you're watching it from the outside, it's very, very impressive to see the way in which he just kind of pops up at the right end of a race, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, and he's doing something a lot different to what I've been watching the other drivers. He actually was right down 4 wheels on the apron there coming out of turn 4.
Yeah, Dave Douglas has been doing that a bit too. I've seen him doing that a bit tonight, sort of through turn 3 and 4. He's been right down there on the apron, which I haven't seen too many guys do before, but Yeah, I mean, but those guys have been around long enough to know what they're doing, so I'm sure it must be working for them.
Yeah, it's got to be. And yeah, just we were talking about Josh Mickelmore before. He's dropped back into 7th now, so I think, I mean, he did hit about 5, 6, 7 laps ahead of everybody else. So yeah, his tire's probably just wearing off a little bit now, and he hopefully doesn't fall out of the top 10.
Yeah, just having a look at Bruce Smith and the pace he's got relative to the others. He's gone, so he's just come out ahead of Matthew Raymond there, and he's actually just rounded up Matthew Clute as well. So he's definitely got some pace on those 2 tyres. I'm not sure if it's something he might have tried in practice, because normally in iRacing you can't get away with that. But yeah, he's doing it, and he's on a charge, but he's 19 seconds off the lead, so it seems a bit fanciful to think that he's going to get that back in 10 laps.
Yeah, so he pretty much effectively lost almost a lap there when he had to pit to Jason Martin. It was about 20 odd seconds ahead when he pitted.
Yeah, that's right. So managed to avoid going a lap down, but yeah, could have certainly been a better night for him than the one he's had. But Jason Martin out there in front by 5.3 seconds ahead of Michael Skurlock, as you mentioned. Matt Danson only about a second or so further back from Skurlock, so he's going to be looking to make a fight over that position. Then we've got Josh Carroll-Walden. We haven't even spoke about him too much tonight. He's 10 seconds off the lead, but he's there in P4, and he's got Raymond Yeager bearing down on him in 5th position. And then Callow, who's right up there at the front earlier on. He's in 6th position. Ryan Jones in 7th. And Josh Mickelmore, as you mentioned earlier on, down in 8th. James Robbie and Bruce Smith rounding out the 10.
There are sort of like little packs sort of forming around the racetrack between 2 and 3 cars. A lot of these cars, because they pitted within that difference of 10 laps, so you do have cars on fresher tyres. Matt Danson there might have the freshest of them all, or one of the freshest.
Yeah, apart from the 2 on the left-hand side of Bruce Smith's car, that's for sure. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we've got Clute there right now, and he's actually having a fair old battle with Matthew Raymond. So we've got the 2 Matthews going at it. But yeah, remains to be seen if there's going to be a change of position there. Both of those guys circulating just outside the top 10 at the moment. They'd be hoping to make a couple of positions. I'm not just kind of looking ahead of them. It's kind of hard to see where any advance for those guys is going to come. And then we've got Josh Mickelmore. He's running side by side with a car, I believe is a lap down, which is number 37. Number 37 is Dylan Davies, one of the newer drivers we've got here. So he is a couple of laps off the pace at the moment, still circulating around out there.
Yeah, those 2 tyres are actually working really well for Bruce Smith. Picked up a couple of positions there, and he's just smoking away like he's got 4.
Yeah, he's doing really, really well, isn't he? Certainly making it work. And, you know, I really didn't think that he was going to be able to make that work, but he has done. He's got some decent pace. He's just bearing down on Ryan Jones now, and he's actually taken 3 seconds in the last couple of laps out of the lead of Jason Martin as well. But with only a handful of laps to go, it's not going to be enough for him. But let's see how far up he can get. He's closing up on the back of Ryan Jones now. I think that Ryan Jones is going to be absolutely powerless to do anything about that. Indeed he is. Smith goes right to the bottom. He's just got so much more grip. He's going to be able to just run through underneath Ryan, slides up in front of him, and we'll be on his way. Thank you very much.
Yeah, pretty much easy done now. Who's got it coming up now? Jackson Callow, former teammate. I think he'll get there in a couple of laps, or if not 1 lap. And then I think he can probably realistically get onto the back end of the top 5, possibly. But then, so we've got about 6 laps to go, 5 laps to go.
Yeah, yeah, well, we'll see how far up he can get. But yeah, he's bearing down on Callow now, as mentioned. So you'd expect him to get that move done. Who's next up ahead of Callow? Raymond Yeager. He's not that far up the road, and he's just got past Josh Carroll-Walden, who appears to just be fading a little bit himself. So few positions that that Bruce could potentially get, but it's not going to be for the win. Jason Martin has got a 4.5 second lead over Matt Danson. Danson's chopped that down just a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I don't think he's got enough pace to actually chase Martin down.
No, I don't think he is. He's going to run out of laps there. Still a great job there by Skurlock, sitting there in 4th now. I think he's pretty much hold on to that to the end of the race.
Yeah, certainly not. So, yeah, Skurlock's probably going to hold that, I'd say. I agree with you. But yeah, Bruce, just taking a look back at Bruce Smith to see what he's been able to get done. He's jumped Callow now, and he's homing in on the back of Josh Carroll-Walden, so he's going to turn this into a top 5, you would think, at the very least.
Yeah, he should get that done by the end of the backstretch. I think top 4. I don't think he'll be able to catch Skur like that.
No, certainly not. But Jaeger well and truly within his sights. So Jaeger's going to be disappointed to have to give that up. It's still a top 5 for Raymond Jaeger's an excellent result. I think he'll be happy with that at the end of the day regardless. And I think possibly the edge is just starting to go off Bruce Smith's tyres a little bit. He's just not cutting through the field with the authority that he had before. He's still got a pace advantage, but he's not able to, there's not the cut and thrust there that he sort of had earlier on when they were really new. So I think the edge of performance has just gone off those outside tyres a bit.
Yeah, see what he does here with Jaeger. Dives down on the inside. Yeah, Jaeger might just have given that up a little bit, let him through. Try and race on for that 5th position. He gets very high though. Managed to keep it off the wall.
And Matt Danson's obviously decided now it's go time. He's hitting qualifying laps. He's really cut down that gap to Jason Martin. It's only 3.5 seconds last time through, but you can't help but think he's left it just that little bit too late, and he's not going to be able to catch him. So we'll see what the gap is this time across the line. It's come down to 3.2, so it's basically left him 2 laps to catch on 3.2 seconds. That's not going to happen unless something happens to Jason Martin. He's catching a little bit of lap traffic, but I'm not sure that it's going to come into play. So it looks as though those front 2, barring any massive misfortune, are pretty well set.
Yeah, I reckon Danson might have pitted about 5 laps too late. I think he'd needed to come in about 5 laps earlier, and he would have been right on top of him.
But of course, if the caution had come out at that stage just after he'd been in, he would have looked like an idiot. So it's just the luck of the draw that we've had 2 very, very clean races here. As things stand, only 1 caution in the Cup and 1 caution in the Thunder so far. But the caution that we did have in the Cup came very, very late, so there could be a sting in the tail for this one yet.
It could be on the last lap though.
Yeah, so it's not going to help, is it? It's just going to keep things the way they are. So Jason Martin cruising around now. He's not going to be pushing too hard. Now Danson's brought that gap down to 3 seconds, but it's not going to be enough. Jason Martin coming through turn 3 and 4. Nice and low. Phil Otto there going another lap down. He's keeping way out of the way. Does not want to interfere with the leader at all. And Jason Martin is going to cross the line. He's going to take this one out. And that is his 3rd consecutive victory in this series, and is going to give him a commanding points lead.
Yeah, Will, it was, what did he have, a 16 lead point over Matt Danson, and Danson came in 2nd, so yeah, you'll gain a little bit more there, put it over at least 20 points.
Yeah, so Danson coming 2nd, Skurlock crossing the line 3rd, Bruce Smith 4th, Callow coming across the line in 5th, Jaeger holding on for 6th, Josh Carroll-Walden 7th, Jones 8th, Robbie 9th, and Josh Mickelmore holding on for that top 10 spot. We will go through the total results a little bit later on, but I'd imagine fairly soon we're going to have some drivers popping in for some interviews, so we might just wait for that to take place. And Jason Martin is going to head up to the front stretch to pull the winner's burnouts. He almost looks as though he grabbed the handbrake there, but he certainly didn't. He's heading over to the victory lane area. He's going to pop some donuts there in that victory lane area right up against the pit wall, and I imagine that we're going to see him in the booth very quickly. But what we might do, just very quickly, is grab in 2nd place getter Matt Danson. And would you like to do the honours on this one, Daniel?
Yeah, sure. Matt Danson, how are you doing tonight? 2nd place.
Thank you, mate.
That's not too bad, mate. So with the strategy there, do you think you might have just left it a little bit too late to pit? I mean, you're catching Jason at the end.
No, this is my worst joint by far. So I had to do something a little bit different. And if anything, I could have either a lap sooner or a lap later. Might have made a little bit of a difference, but overall, I don't think I really had much for him, to be fair.
That's not too bad. It's actually pretty good to watch you and Bruce Smith sort of come back through the field there to end up in those positions you end up finishing in. It was a pretty good race out there, only 1 caution at the start. So how did you feel tonight with the long green flag run?
Yeah, good. I guess like green running is always more enjoyable. Like I said, I just tried to save my tyres if I could. For some reason at this track I'm always trash, so I just tried to save my stuff, but I was the whole race always knew I was just that little that fraction off. So I was kind of hoping that the strategy might play out. I needed to try and save those tyres through that last run a little bit further. I think maybe I used them up a bit too much, but yeah, it was good fun.
That's good to hear. Yeah, well, congratulations on second. And anyone you'd like to shout out to before I let you go?
Shout out to Braden, Ashton, obviously the teammates there give me the guidance and support and love and tenderness. Other than that, you guys for putting on a league. Myself having 2 finishes outside of second place so far this season. What a boss! Hopefully continue to march forward in the championship.
Awesome, man. Well, you end up having a good night, and we'll catch you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, boys. Take care.
Yeah, that was Matt Danson, your second place getter. No one in the league quite like Matt Danson, that's for sure. So what we might do, we've got Jason Martin, race winner, up there. He's just jumped out of the car, still smoking, and we'll bring him up for a quick chat as well. I'm sure he's very, very happy indeed. Jason Martin, me old mate, how you going? Nice win.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I'm going pretty good in this series.
Yeah, well, third win in a row, actually, out of 4 races so far. So certainly a lot of things going your way in this series so far. And as well, one of the things that does spring to mind is the timing of that pit stop. Of course, a bit of a gamble just in case a caution came out, but obviously a gamble that you're willing to take at that stage.
Yeah, this setup was horrible, so I didn't want to be doing more than 30 laps with it. So, yeah, that's why I decided to pit then.
Yeah, all looked to be running fairly smoothly. I mean, we had a few drivers sort of complaining about the tightness of the car, especially as the track sort of cooled off. But one of the things that I noticed as well is you were leading, and I think you'd had the lead off Bruce Smith for a little while, and then you came up to lap one of the slower cars. It looks as though that there may have been, we couldn't actually tell if there'd actually been any contact at that stage, but seemed to slow you up enough that it actually cost you the lead. So can you talk us through that?
Yeah, I wasn't too happy with that. I ended up getting about 8 seconds worth of damage, so I sure hope it wasn't dirty team tactics, but who knows.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed to be one of those things that it was quite we saw, I believe it was the 7 getting around with a fair bit of damage sort of through most of the race. And at the point that you came through, sort of started up high, and we all thought, sort of watching it because we did have the cameras on it live, that he was giving you space at that point, and then it appeared as though he sort of came down. I'm not sure if he didn't see you or what, but there was a couple of instances later on in the race where he appeared to suffer from the same thing. So I don't really know how much the damage on that car was sort of affecting the handling, but it's certainly a scary moment for you.
Yep, but all's well that ends well, so not too bad in the end.
All right, so there we are anyway. So that's another healthy haul of points for you. As we mentioned, 3 wins out of the first 4 races in this series. So nice healthy points lead as well. So congratulations. Anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to at this?
Just got to thank BK Designs for sponsoring the team, and Mitch Motorsports, and of course Performance eStreaming for the broadcast.
Fantastic. Well, ladies and gentlemen, your winner, as has so often been the case, Jason Martin for the 3rd time in a row in this Thunder series, and he's going to take a nice, healthy points lead into the next round. What we might actually do now is we will grab Michael Skurlock, who's there waiting patiently for us, and 3rd place tonight. I'll let you do the honours, Daniel.
Cool. Michael Skurlock, how are you doing tonight?
Hello, lads. Very well.
That's awesome. You had a pretty decent run there, finishing up in 3rd place. How was that?
Yeah, man. I'm always happy with anything in the top 5, really. After I didn't have a good run the other night, so this makes up for it.
Yeah, that's good to hear. So did you pit a little bit earlier than everybody else, sort of get that track position and manage to hold it?
Yeah, well, I just saw Jason go in. I was like, all right, he's in. I've got to go in. Because, you know what Mirko did the other week. I didn't want Jason just to disappear, which he kind of did anyway. But, yeah, as soon as I saw him, I just needed to get in.
Yeah, it's always a pretty good bet to follow Jason around. And, yeah, it seemed to work out well for you to come there in 3rd place. Congratulations. And anybody you'd like to shout out to before I let you go?
Yeah, as always, the Illusion guys, old school graphics and designs, you guys, Performance E streaming, and yeah, all the other competitors for rocking up, making it fun.
Yeah, no, it was a pretty good race. Only the one caution there at the start. But I'll let you go, and we'll catch you in a couple of weeks.
Cheers, man. Hope your luck turns around soon, too.
It will.
Yeah. All right, mate. Catch ya.
See ya.
All right, so that was third place getter Michael Skurlock, being very, very consistent in this series so far, sort of a trait for which he's becoming quite well known now. But what we might actually do just before we wrap this one up is we'll just go through the final finishing positions as this large field came home. So looking at your winner, as we did mention, Jason Martin just ahead of Matt Danson. Michael Skurlock bringing up the top three, then Bruce Smith, great recovery drive up there to fourth, just ahead of his former teammate Jackson Callow there in P5. Then going back even further, we've got Raymond Yeager, Josh Carroll-Walden, Ryan Jones, and James Robbie, and Josh Micklemore rounding out that top 10. And then going back from there, 11th place, we've got Matthew Raymond, then Matty Clute in their 12th, Dwayne Priest, Stephen Williams, your pick for the night, Daniel, getting back up there, I believe, onto the lead lap as well towards the end of that one. So 14th place finish for him. Ben Doherty, Darren McKenzie, Aaron Wilton, Riley Curtis, who we saw make that crazy save earlier on, came from 37th up to 18th in the end. Then the last week's Cup winner, Mirko Doutnak, there in 19th. Gavin Sadler starts his career off with Pace Syndicate there in 20th. Then we've got Matt Hunter, George Fullerton at Norman Clark. We didn't see too much of Norman tonight, but he had a consistent finish there, just lower than exactly halfway in the midfield. So solid result for him, just ahead of the rookie Dylan Davies. Then Tristan Koch, Nicholas Walsh, Phil Otto, he was my pick for the night, finished out 27th position. Michael Latter, Robert Mason, Brian Richmond, Dave Douglas, Joseph Tavora, Todd Maxfield, who we saw running around with all that damage. He finished 13 laps off the pace. Then Gareth Anderson, Lockie Dalton, Jake Maloney, Aaron Dillon, and Daniel Stevens. And Kai Sloggett, as we mentioned, did not end up taking the start. So a fairly clean one here tonight, Daniel, as we kind of expected, I think, just due to the nature of the circuit, the width of it and everything else. But, yeah, it definitely turned into a bit of a strategic battle in the end.
Yeah, it did. It was good to see the guys sort of get in there. It was only that one caution flag early in the race, and then it was pretty much green flag for, I think, about 59 laps to end it. So that was good. I think next week in a fortnight we're at Bristol. It's going to be a bit of a different story there.
Yes, I think it probably will. Diametric opposites just about those two venues. So anyway, hope you enjoyed our coverage tonight. Certainly was one of the more intriguing races from a strategic point of view, that's for sure. And in the end, the ones who played the best strategy got the job done, certainly. So from me, Edward Foster, Danny G, Carl Withy, as always, running the cameras. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we will see you again next Thursday night for the Cup. Goodbye.